Hello, hello, everyone. We're back again with another episode. This time, I am really, really excited about this one because this one has been, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to you, Miss Monica, in several years. And
Yes,
you got a lot of information to fill in for those gaps. And trust me, I'm going to ask you all those questions.
I figured you would.
Well, let me just start by, welcoming you to the show. It's guys, I am really, really delighted to have her on the show, and she is the creative behind the Summer on Camp May,
Okay.
which is a contemporary women's fiction novel, and it has a backdrop of a really popular seaside town called Cape May. Um, and before we dive into like the heart of the story, the creative process, and all of that good stuff about Cape May, I kind of wanted to know if you can just tell us a little bit about Monica, the author, and the person. And tell us
Okay.
what you've been doing.
All right. So I started writing about 25, no, I'm sorry, 20 years ago. My first book was released in 2005 with BET Books.
Mhm.
And as you know, BET was bought out by Harlequin. So I went on to write a teen series and a few romance novels and some other things. So I have like 19 books in publication right now.
Okay.
I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a wine lover.
Well, we share that.
We do. Yes, we do.
And we're
Yeah,
also birthday twins as
we
well.
are. Yep. Yours is the 22nd?
Right. And
Yeah,
you're the 24th,
23rd of
23rd.
April.
Oh, 23rd. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for spending the evening with me. Just to get a little bit in your business.
Mhm.
I just want to shout out a few people there. So Sinquetta, hey, thank you, Sissy, for showing up, spending some time with us. Hey, Shay, baby, how are you? Thank you for joining me. And oh my goodness, Renata, thank you, love, for joining us. So we're gonna kind of dive into before when you wrote up under we're not the I didn't really dive into your young adult series, but I was definitely a Monica Richardson fan, which is where you were writing your romance novels under Harlequin.
Yes.
So now life is life and for you, and now
Mhm.
you've settled down maybe a little bit, and you've come out with a women's fiction. So tell us a little bit about what inspired this story.
Okay, so I wanted to write, I wanted to get back into writing because I kind of took a break for a little while. And so my agent had reached out to one of my old editors, and she said that she wanted to see a story about some women, three or four women that were diverse and, just some of the things that they go through in life. And so that's kind of how that story began. So I did like a proposal for it, but she wasn't interested in it when after I got the proposal done. So I got a new agent, Michelle Lindo Rice, and
Okay.
some of you may know her. She's
Mhm.
my agent now. And so when Michelle read the proposal, she was like, "Oh yeah, I like this." So she started shopping it around, and we had some people that really were interested in it. A few houses were interested in it, and so that's how that started.
Well, congratulations and welcome back. So, how did that make you feel? Like, okay, so now it's been just a minute for you writing the romances, but you did them really well. So now is your focus going to be on women's fiction, or are you going to just kind of be a little bit around everything?
Women's fiction for now. Kensington, I know they want to promote me as like a beach reads author.
Okay.
So that's what Summer on Cape May is. It's one of those books that you throw in your beach bag and go to the beach and read. And
Yeah.
so this next novel, the one that I'm writing right now, which is due like real soon, it's also a beach read. So I think that's kind of the direction that they're going. But I do have some other projects that I want to, you know, get out there that I'm working on too. So
Well,
yeah.
you have not really been no stranger to water because
Mm-mm.
the Talbot series was around water too. And I was going to ask that. I was like, she seems to love her water, her
Yes. And you
stories.
know what? I can't even swim.
Well, this is your next best thing, right? This is your
Yeah.
next best thing.
So I'll write about people that can swim.
Yeah. So now, one of the things I liked about this story was is that you know, the actual Cape May became almost a character in itself as you
Mhm.
were writing about it because it really nuzzled those characters into their lifestyle. Everything began and ended on Cape May
Right.
until it wasn't.
Yeah. Right.
But the one of the things I liked about it was that, and the fact that you wrote a story that was like a beach read, which was like kind of flirty because you're going on vacation kind of thing, but you had real life situations in there,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
actually had three different situations. And so, if you could talk about like what was your how did you gravitate to those specific situations for those girls to go through.
Well, even like when I wrote my young adult series, I knew that the kids that were reading that book were going through some things. And so I wanted to kind of weave, some ideas into my story that would help them in their everyday life. So I think that's the same with Summer on Cape May. Women go through those issues every day. And I
Yeah,
wanted the women that read, Summer on Cape May to be able to take or pull from those situations and maybe use them in their everyday life to kind of gravitate, to guide them through those things.
yeah. I
Um,
think I think for Natalie, her situation with her husband, we get a chance to see a little bit of that in our romance, novels when we have some conflict there.
right.
But and I've seen Kenya's her things. I've seen something similar to that, but she was a different type of character than I'm used to seeing with that kind of situation. Losing a husband and then
Hmm.
navigating through that, and then really after halfway healing, just basically shutting her heart down.
Hmm.
Like not being able to really open up your heart.
Right.
And then with Lou, I was a little bit surprised initially because I thought, okay, Lou is going to be, our she's going to be our glue to hold us here on this island because she's got the B&B. But then,
Hmm.
lo and behold, you had something, for her as well. And
Hmm.
and even as close as they were, um, they still had secrets from each other.
Hmm.
You
They
know what I
did.
mean? So, and then when
But
you were
that's how we are. Isn't that
yeah,
how we are as women?
yeah, that is true.
Mhm,
But these secrets that they held with each other, they directly affected each other.
mhm.
And so when you were writing that, of course, we know we have to have conflict, but then when it really blew up, how did you navigate them back to, healing? How difficult was that?
Oh, it was pretty easy because I have so many really good relationships and friendships that, you just kind of learn that, hey, there's going to be conflict, but you have to really put together a plan to keep those things together. And so that was the fun part, actually, getting them back together. It was
Yeah.
really hard writing the part where they fell apart. That
That
was the
was
hard
heart
part.
wrenching because even though I understood as a woman, if I was in that situation, I understood each one of them, their plight.
Mhm.
And I thought, no, she is not going to just bring us this far, have us wrapped up into this, this sisterhood, and then just and then nothing.
Right.
Yeah. So
But there was true sisterhood, like when Kenya ended up in California,
mhm,
at Lou's father's
yeah,
home.
Yeah.
That just showed true friendship. Like, hey, I know we're going through some things right now, but I need to be here for you. And that's really what friendship is about and sisterhood is about. Like, hey, we're going to have our difficulties, but at the end of the day, you
Yeah.
know, I'm
Yeah.
here for you.
That was almost a hard comeback after they really blew up. And, and then at first I thought it was kind of catty. And then but you can tell, like, but Kenya was, it was almost like they were trying to say, okay, when Kenya went to California to be, to kind of support Lou, it was like, okay, I know I made you mad, so let me try to, let me try to smooth you over. But
Hmm.
then you had Natalie, who was, trying to say, okay, I know I made you mad, but let me, try to smooth you over. And then I just think that the love that they have for each other just overpowered, and they just said, well, just forget it. Let's just do what we do. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now, what was your creative process like? So, um, did you decide to have it on the water because they asked you, or was that something you had already been thinking about doing?
Well, most of my books take place on the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
but actually, it's interesting because Monique Greenwood, who was the editor for Essence magazine, I happened to read an article about her and her husband visiting Cape May.
Okay, because I was
Um,
going to ask if you had been there.
I had not been there, but I read that article and they ended up buying a bed and breakfast there. And I was like, oh, I bet that place is so beautiful. And so I started researching Cape May as a result of reading that article. And that's how I came up with the setting for it.
Okay. Now is this a standalone, or are you going to be doing more with the other characters? What is your deal like for this series or this book?
It's actually a standalone. So this next book is a whole set of new characters.
Really,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. I wanted to take the girls to the next book, but I was overruled.
Okay. Well, all right. So is this setting going to still be on Cap May
It's not. It is going to be in another beautiful location.
with water?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay. That's going to be your signature now, right? Um, okay, so the writing process for that. So I never got a chance to ask you, were you a plotter or a pantser? How was your writing process?
I'm a pantser and I hate it, but yeah, that's what I am.
I mean,
Um,
some of the greats are so.
yeah. I'm trying to become a plotter.
No, well, you let me know how that works out for you. Uh, what kind of quirks do you need for writing?
I
Like,
need I need music
mhm,
and sometimes wine, but yeah, music really kind of drives me there because it just puts me in the scene. So yeah.
all right. So now, you're retired now?
I am.
So is your writing process any different from when you were, I mean, it has to be different from when you were working,
Mhm.
but now do you spend like a whole day working? And so what do you do? Because I know you're really involved in your family, especially your
Mhm.
grandkids. So what
Yeah.
is a day in like of Monica Gardner writing?
Well, I'm trying to navigate that right now because I just retired at the end of February.
Mhm.
So it took me a minute to just get used to being at home, all day. And even when, I knew that writing was going to take the place of my full time job, I still wrote at night because that's what I was used to doing. And I was like, okay, girl, you're going to have to write during the day too.
Right.
Because we got to meet this deadline. So now I'm getting in the habit of, writing all day. Like I've been writing all day today just because I have to get so many words on a page, within the next few weeks. So,
Okay.
but I'm still kind of working out a schedule and, talking to some of my other writer friends that write full time to get some ideas on how to do that.
Okay. Do you have any writing buddies or um that's somebody that you can call on, when you're getting stuck or,
Not any writing buddies per se, but I talked to Cheryl Lister, that's my girlfriend, and she just kind of, talks to me about the writing process or, how she does her schedule or whatever. She gave me a few pointers about writing full time. So, yeah, I
yeah,
just have a few writer friends that I call on.
yeah. Okay, okay. Now, what in writing this book? So, since you kind of had a little bit of break from writing and now coming back to it, what were some of your challenges on doing that? And then tell us what was some of the things that made you, that made you smile about doing it.
Um, the challenge was trying to get back under contract, because I really like to be traditionally published versus because I did do a little dab of self-publishing. I wrote a book with Electa Rome Parks,
Yeah. Okay.
two books actually. But just getting back under contract, really nailing down those proposals to, pitch some of the houses. Those things were challenging, but I navigated through that. Um, what was the other question?
And then what was the most exciting thing about coming back to the writing scene?
Getting that contract with Kensington. And they were really, really excited about me. So I just really love that part of it, that I had some other editors that were interested, but I was just like, if you got a house that's really interested in you
Hmm.
and, excited about you like you are
Yeah.
about your work, then they're going to put, a little muscle behind it. So
Okay.
that
Okay.
was exciting.
Well, I am excited that you are back on the scene. I'm gonna still ask you about my one character. You
I
you
already know.
you might have to. I don't know where you're going with this, but you might have to write me a little essay or something because do you know that character still comes to my head?
Get out of here.
I don't know what about that character was. And like I say, guys, I don't even remember the name of the book that he was in that made me walk away, but I know it was in the Talbot series. And
Nathan. His name was Nathan.
mhm. And he wasn't even the main character at the
Mhm.
time,
He
but
wasn't.
Lord, that man has haunted me for years.
Because he was going to the next book. He actually was going to the next book. I was writing that next book when I asked Harlequin to let me out of my contract.
Oh, okay. I don't even think I knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, I kept, of course, I kept bugging you about it, and you said, "Yeah, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it," but you never really came to me and told me that. So I thought it was the end of it, and then when you didn't ever do it, I thought it was just the end of it. But even today, that he still pops up in my head.
I'm gonna have to write that book.
Yeah, something. I mean, even if you just give me an essay or email, a long email with the story or whatever. Um, but yeah, that's funny. That I have some characters that just resonate with me,
Hmm.
and they just stay with me. I'm hoping that there don't be a whole lot because I can't be walking around with all these people because he was
With all those people in your head like an author. Imagine the people we have in our heads.
yes, yes, we cannot be doing that. Now, tell us about the characters. Like, what as far as the characters that you have with Lou, Kenya, and Natalia, are there any similarities to anybody that you're close to or for their characteristics?
People ask that all the time. I think that as authors, we pull from a variety of people. Like, you know, I can't say that either of them are one specific person, but their characteristics, yeah, have been pulled from many different people
Mhm.
that, are in my life or that I've run across in my life. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hey there, Miss Lashir. Miss Lashir came and joined us. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Hey, King Brooks is out there.
Hey
Um,
there.
so now, okay, so because these characters had such a distinct voice, and they had their own different things. Was there anything challenging about their situations that you wrote about? And with each one of the situations, what did you expect the reader to take, or what did you want the reader to take away with it?
Let's see, their situations.
Mhm.
Probably Natalia, she was dealing with, trying to get pregnant. And I've never had that problem.
Mhm.
But, that was probably one of the challenges having to write that role. But, I think that whatever they went through, with the exception of Kenya, who was a widow, I've been through those situations, um, with Lou, I didn't grow up with my father, my biological father. Um, so, connecting with him at the age of 24, I could totally relate to Lou's situation of connecting with her father as
Mm.
an adult. And Natalia, of course, we've all been through heartbreak and, you know, a cheating spouse or whatever. And with Kenya just trying to navigate the death of her husband. So
Yeah.
that part I haven't endured, but yeah, that was, writing those things, kind of resonated with me.
Yeah. And Natalia, she was just like, like any other woman, when something is not right, in your
Mhm.
relationship. And so I like how you didn't have her, I mean, she took what she took, but then, like anything else, sometimes we take the blame of the reason why things are not happening correctly. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so I felt like in her situation, um, he had already checked out of the relationship, because otherwise,
Mhm.
he didn't understand what she was going through. Because I
Right.
don't think what she did was like deliberate, and could have happened to anybody.
Mhm.
But of course she blamed herself. And then I
As
was
we
like,
always do.
yeah,
As we all do.
yeah. And then I did with Kenya, hers was, kind of hit hard too, because, you know, you even after you knew what happened, you don't know whether or not it was self-inflicted or if it
Mm.
was just an accident, and so
Mhm.
she'll never be able to know that, so she'll
Right.
walk away with, with that, the resilience of that. And then with Lou, her mother was a firecracker.
Okay.
She was something. And like, so we read a lot of story. Well, I read a lot of stories where mothers can be demonic sometimes. You know what I mean? Sometimes
Mhm.
don't. And so when I was reading the portion for Lou, with her mother, I had to take into consideration, like, she was a mother, she was protecting her child.
Mhm. Mhm.
But really, was she protecting her child from her father, or was she protecting the child so that her heart didn't get broken? Or was she being, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of stuff
And
going on.
protecting herself
Right,
from, those things being revealed
right,
in
right.
her past. So, yeah.
And I thought that was kind of cute how you threw that in there. And I was like, okay, yeah, her mother was a real firecracker for real. Um, But when you like, say, in the case of, now that you're writing, romance, your romance always had a happy ending, but now with women's fiction, that can be a wild card sometimes,
Mhm.
because you don't necessarily have to have a happy ending.
Right.
Sometimes things can go left. But how was your emotional state of mind when you were writing each one of those things? Because I could see where I kind of got a little bit emotional
Mhm.
with Kenya, for sure, with the
Mhm.
whole situation with her husband, and then for Natalia, when she was just driving herself crazy, and then when her husband found out what she had did, and how he reacted, and then seeing what he was doing to her. So when you were writing that, you had to have, like, emotional things, or how do you get in the mode to write something that's serious.
Yeah, you have to really go back to some of those things that you've gone through in your own life, you know, and kind of feel what those things made you feel back then. Like with Lou, with her father, that scene where she was in the hospital and she was crying or whatever. I don't want to give away the book because I don't know how many of your
Yeah, yeah.
viewers have read it, but those are things um, that I pulled from my own experiences. Like my mother um, had cancer,
Hmm.
and that was one of the reasons why I stopped writing for a while, because I
Okay.
was really taking care of her. But, that scene in the hospital, that was me, so you kind of put yourself in those places, or you kind of reach those emotional places that you've been through in your own life, and you bring them into your writing.
Okay. Yeah, so that was probably why that scene felt,
Mhm.
so real.
So real, yeah.
Yeah. So now that you're writing, you're going to continue to write and you're working on another book.
Mhm.
Um, are you gonna what are some of the things you think you might want to do? Now you've done young adult, you've done romance, now you're doing women's fiction. So is there any other genre you think you might want to play around in?
Um, I thought that I wanted to write a memoir, and
Okay.
I am writing a story that is like a memoir, but I think that is actually going to be fiction. So,
All right.
um, and it's historical. So that's one of the areas that I want to tap into.
Okay. And then you want to stay with traditionally published, right?
I do. I might do some projects on my own, but for the most part, yeah,
Okay.
traditional.
Okay. Well, now you said you write mostly at night, and that was because that was what you were used to in the past, and then you were working. So now you're newly retired. Now you shift into write during the day. Um, when you do you have a certain place in your house? Do you close yourself away from everybody? How do you?
I write in my living room. I should probably write in my office, just like I should have probably worked in my office when I worked at home. But for the most part, yeah, I just write right there in my living room. But I shut everything off except for maybe some music.
Okay. Now, do you have obviously you have people coming in and out or whatever? So does everybody know not to talk to you when you're writing?
It's just my husband and I here, and he works.
Oh,
He's
okay.
working all day and sleeping because his hours are so crazy. So yeah, I have a lot of free time to
Mhm.
write, and I don't have to worry about little ones or anything anymore.
Okay.
I'm an old lady.
No, you're not. Now, tell us about some of the I know you got one if you can or tell us how much you can tell us about the project that you're working on now.
It's another girlfriend story. Lots of drama, conflict. Like this story, I'm struggling to make sure that it's not so much conflict. You know what I mean? Like, because it's a beach read, I do want it to be a little light and you know, like a
What?
beach read should, but um that's what I'm struggling with.
Okay.
Because I'm so used to writing that drama stuff, you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
have
but
to make sure.
you used to wrapping it in a little bit of romance too, and so
Yeah.
you had a little bit of romance in this one here too, but you really don't have focus on the romance when you write
Mm-mm.
in the women's fiction. I mean relationships, yeah, but not really romance.
That was a struggle for me too, because coming from writing romance, I had to be reminded that okay, this is not romance, this is women's fiction. So the center focus cannot be on, Kenya's romance, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was a challenge.
And for me too, when I read this book, I was excited to see you out there, but of course, I didn't know what to expect. And so when I saw, oh, okay, so this is different. It's not romance. you could tell right away that it was women's fiction.
Mhm.
So, my question was going to be, are you going to flip flop back and forth, or are you going to go full steam ahead in there? And just keep it with the women's fiction.
I think I'm going to stick with women's fiction. I
Okay.
think you have a little more freedom with
Okay.
women's fiction. There's so many rules with romance
Yeah.
that, I think I have a little more freedom with women's fiction. So I think
Okay.
I'll stick there.
All right. Now you'll stay with us for the long haul now, right?
I am. I'm not going anywhere.
All right. So what are some of the things besides water? Because we know we like a good setting. You like a good setting on the water.
Mhm.
But what are some of the settings that you want to do, and where? I mean, is there any places that you want to take us with your upcoming projects?
Um, Maybe California or like Napa or
Hmm.
I love New Orleans.
Mm.
Places like that, that may not be beach towns, but I would love to, sort of tap into those places.
Okay. Now, have you traveled? Now you do some traveling too, because I've seen some of your pictures where you've
Mhm.
traveled before. Now, has anything spoke to you when you've gone to those places?
Um, Spoke to me how? Like
Don't say, "Oh, I would love to do a story."
not necessarily from I go to the Bahamas a lot because my family is from there.
Mhm.
And my Talbot series was based there. So I visited Curacao.
Okay.
Um, but no, not anywhere that I visited, but I have a lot of places that I would love to take a story to.
Okay. Well, we can be looking forward to that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you too, Miss JB. That and she loves her water.
Hey, Miss JB.
So Catalina Island is one that
Hmm.
we all fell in love with Catalina Island when Miss Brenda wrote her series around there. But that was a place that well, JB actually told us that it was a real place. So that might be another place you can go to.
Hmm.
Right around that
Oh
water.
yeah.
Now, when you when writing the book, do you when writing from so many different, not many so many different names, but you had the one name that you wrote up under the young adult, the romance, and now you're writing under Monica Gardner.
Hmm.
Was there any conflict from like readers who've been following you from before?
I think that some readers maybe didn't connect that, oh, that's Monica that wrote, Monica McCahan is also Monica Garner. So I think that there may have been a disconnect there with them realizing that I am one and the same person.
But
So
those books are still in print, though, right?
they
I
are.
don't know.
I have the rights to most of my novels, some of my old novels. So you can get them. No, they're not in print anymore. Like I guess you could order them like on Amazon from, individual readers, but
Mhm.
um yeah, I got
The
the
digital
rights back.
books are still available, right?
You can get them on Amazon, yeah.
Okay.
And
Oh,
then my first book, As Real as It Gets, Recorded Books did an audio of it, so that's on audiobooks.
okay, I didn't see that when I was looking for that. Okay, is that the Talbot series?
No, that's my very first my debut novel, As Real as It Gets, that I
Okay,
did in 2005. They did an audio version of it, so
okay. Have you gone back to any of your books when you first started writing? Did you pick up any of your books and kind of read any of them and just say, "Hey, if this is like, am I really doing this?" kind of thing?
I did. Like, I really love that Indigo Summer series, the young adult series. I went back and read a few of those books and was kind of like, okay, these were good. And I actually thought about taking Indigo Summer into adulthood and doing something with that. So that may not be off the table.
Okay, okay. And so yeah, that where was that setting at? The Indico.
Atlanta.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Hmm.
All right. So what do you want? What are you getting? What do you want your readers to get from your stories? I mean, are you just you entertaining? Do you just want to get emotional stuff or funny stuff? You talk. Do you think about doing any like rom-com stuff?
No, I mean, I want real life stuff. Like people are dealing with things that, you know, that are tough for them in their everyday life. So if I can offer, like, okay, maybe, you can do this, or, you're not alone out there. Somebody else is dealing with the same things, that is what I want people to get from my novels. Like, I want them to connect with these characters, um, and let them know that they are dealing with the same thing that you might be dealing with in your everyday life. So, yeah.
And how are you? Is it so? You were with Harlequin, and now you with what publishing company are you with now?
Kensington.
So Kensington.
Mhm.
So how is your promoting doing? Do you find yourself being out more, like doing more signings, book signings?
Yeah, I am. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really busy. I'm leaving tomorrow for Houston. I'm going down. Going Girls Book Club is having some type of convention down
Okay.
there, and they invited me to come and be on an author panel.
Okay.
And so when I get back from there, I'm packing up again. I'm headed to Sacramento
Okay.
for a graduation. So I have a book signing there. And so, yeah, it's busy. Then when I come back from there, I head back to Kansas City. I'm doing a little wine thing at a winery, and some folks will come out and I'll sign some books. So,
Okay, so that's good. So before you did go to book events before, but it seems like now that you've written this book, you've come back. I've seen you
mhm,
out a little bit more than you were
yeah,
before. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So you got some freedom. Now, where are you going to be in St. Louis? Is it open to the public or
Not St. Louis, Kansas City.
Kansas City? So is it open to the public?
It is. It's open to the public. I got a flyer out there on my page. I can send it to you, but it's on June 19th, and
Okay.
it's at a place called Amagoni Winery. It's in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay. So when you post it, tag me in it so that, everybody else can see, where you're going to be at. Now, so that's in Kansas City, and then you're going to
Mhm.
be in Sacramento in the specific place. And is that also open to the public?
It is. It's at Underground Books.
Okay. I figured that.
Hmm. And I'm hoping Cheryl will come out and hang out with me a little bit. And then Kansas City, I think I might be doing something here in Cedar Hill with a bookstore, one of the local Black bookstores here.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
we'll stay focused now. If somebody, well, you'll give me the flyers. You can put up, just tag me in the flyers, and then hopefully they can see them, and then all the information will be on that flyer.
Yeah.
And so
So,
Renata wants to know if will you write any historical women pieces?
I do have a historical piece that I'm working on. I can't focus on it right now because I have a deadline.
Mhm.
But it's a story that I worked on some years ago about my grandmother and how she met my grandfather in Key West. And so it takes place back in the 1940s, and I think it's going to be wonderful when I finally, get it together.
Okay, all right. And Maisha just stopped by. Hey, Maisha, thank you for joining us. Uh,
Hey, Maisha.
now, would you say that you are more focused on your female characters rather than the male characters?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've really written a male character. I think my first book had a male character. My first and second book had male characters, but yeah, I think the focus is mostly on female characters
Mhm.
for now. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And so you if you were to write more male characters or more male driven characters, I should say, where would you pull your inspiration from?
Um, maybe from my husband.
Like
He
he's
would
about
be
to he's about to be a celebrity and he don't even know it.
he would be a character, trust me.
Yeah. Now when you're writing, and now that you're a full-time writer, do you find yourself having less time to do what Monica wants to do? Or do you feel like now that you're retired and you're writing, do you feel like you have more freedom, or do you feel like you have to stay, completely focused?
I definitely have more freedom. I mean, I don't have to check in with anybody. I don't have to clock in. I can just kind of do my own schedule and it is just wonderful. But I am busy.
Yeah,
Like writing is busy. And then now that I'm, out there promoting, that's busy too. So I'm busy, but I am on my own terms and I like that.
yeah. Um, with Summer on Camp May, would you say that it was, and compared to some of your other books, would you say that that book was more difficult for you to write? Like say, let's go back to just your romance. Like,
Hmm.
would you say this one was a more difficult to write, or was it easier?
I would say it was more difficult. Yeah. Because usually with the romances they're like 50,000 words and your women's fiction is like 80,000. So I was like, I ain't never wrote a 80,000 word book before.
Well,
So
but you
that was challenging.
Mhm. You had a lot of characters in here, though. I mean, not a lot of characters, but you had enough characters to pull from because you had the three women,
Mhm.
and then you had their situations, and then my favorite. I can't remember his name that's in the book, but Lou's husband.
Uh-huh.
Can't name.
Zach.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Zach, right. He was a fan favorite. You did do him, but you could tell though that the women were pushing this story through. But
Mhm.
Zach was a favorite of mine.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
want to strangle Nick though, for sure.
For sure.
And there wasn't, and I thought he was going to be cool because he seemed okay, but then when I
Mhm.
saw what he was really about, I wanted to strangle him. And then
Yes.
I got a little bit of nervous about Zach because he was harboring
Mhm.
that secret, and I'm like, oh my gosh, take all of this much. So
But he was a good guy.
yeah,
He
he
was
was,
a good guy.
he's a good guy. So, I want everybody to know, since you back on here, I wanted to introduce you to my followers, but then I also
Mhm.
want them to be able to follow you as well. So, what is the best place to follow you? On social media. Do you have a website,
Mhm.
newsletter, all of that good stuff? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. I'm on Facebook all the time as Monica Garner. I'm on Instagram as underscore Monica dash Garner. No, underscore Monica dash Writes, WRITES. And then my website is Monica dash Writes, WRITES.com.
Okay, all right. Do you have a newsletter?
I have a newsletter, but I haven't published it in a while. So
Well, let us know when you are, so we can get all of those nuggets or anything. And so, do you have any plans to come to the Midwest?
just Kansas City for now. I'll be in Minnesota next week, but I won't be doing anything book related.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't have any plans for the Midwest just yet.
Okay, all right. And then, are you open to like book clubs or anything, like to come there?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I love book clubs, so please invite me.
okay, we'll do that. Any last words for us or the readers or anything?
I'm just so grateful that you had me here to tell you a little bit about Cape May and about what I've been doing lately. I would love for you all to follow me and to pick up Summer on Cape May. You will enjoy it. And That's it.
Now, can we purchase any books from you directly? Is there any way? How can they get signed copies of the books if they want it?
Um, I don't have any directly. I don't know.
Okay, so if we see you at an event, then we can get the book signed.
Yes.
All right. But
Yes. I
so
probably need to think about that. Think about, getting some signed copies so that people can have, an autographed copy of my books.
well, actually, too. So some of the bookstores that you visit, that might be a way too, because I know some authors, they don't sell their books directly, like from their website, and
Mhm.
if they don't, they'll use like some of the bookstores where you can just leave signed copies there, and then the person can just, whoever wants, they can just purchase it there.
Yeah, I know the Doc bookstore, the Doc bookshop here in
Yeah.
Fort Worth, Texas. I know they have some copies. So
Okay.
just, I'll just make it a habit of going to some of the bookstores and signing
Yeah.
whatever stock they have there. So
Yeah, and then let us know where they are. And so if they
mhm.
want those signed copies of it, it can, we can just go directly to the store and get them, purchase them.
Yes.
All right. Well, keep us posted on everything. And do you have a date when you're going to be releasing this next project?
It should be May of 2026.
Okay, so next year. Oh,
That's why I have to get it done you
okay.
know, so that
Uh,
we'll have it next year.
okay. Well, we're going to be looking forward to that, and reach out if you need anything, or when the next book is coming up, and we can help you promote it. And I'm
Yeah.
welcome. I'm so glad that you are back. I am really, really happy that you are back. Uh, So we are going to follow you and make sure that everybody gets a purchase a copy of the book. And if you do read it, make sure you do a review. Um,
Yes.
yeah, make sure you go on her page, follow her so that you know what's coming up next. And if
Mhm.
you enjoy any of these interviews, these author interviews, make sure you follow, like, and share. Tell a friend. Come on by, listen. Make sure you guys listen to the recap. Monica, thank you so much for joining us. We
Thank
wish you
you.
the very best of everything, and we'll be looking forward to seeing what you do next. So,
Thank you so much.
all right, we'll talk to you later. Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye bye.